Hey there, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brandy J, and we're here with Ricardo.
Zulueta.
I'm so sorry,
It's okay.
Ricardo Zulueta. And Ricardo, thank you for joining me. Actually, I'm not, I try to keep it really authentic and real on my podcast, and I just
Yeah.
had a whole incident right now outside with someone kicking the gate in. And now they're trying to kick my wall in. So forgive me, everyone. Some stuff has been
That's
going
okay.
on. I'm happy to make you laugh, Ricardo. Do you know I fell asleep on a live last night?
Oh my God,
Yes,
really?
I did. I surely did. I've been having a day. My
Wow.
friends, they were laughing at me. They said, "You didn't get
Yeah.
all the evidence. We still find the video. We're going to keep it."
So it's like
You know,
that.
that's when I realized not to take myself too seriously anymore. I said, "You know what?
Right.
Oh well."
That's
Last
funny.
I'm thankful that you have decided to join me today. So maybe Ricardo can make me look like a sane person.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Ricardo,
Yeah.
so I'm happy we're here because, listeners, so what Ricardo did for me, just and it was just supposed to be a call to come on the show, is that he made me realize that perception, when they say perception is everything, it's everything. You know what I mean? It'll totally, you won't realize you don't even need to go to see a doctor or have someone tell you, you know what I mean, that you are possibly have anxiety. I don't want to take away from people that do really
Yeah.
do, but I found out that that really wasn't the case with
Right.
me, and I would love for you to share with the listeners what you do and
Yeah.
how you do it.
Yeah, definitely. So just a quick background. I'm a serial entrepreneur. Um, you know, I got a couple of businesses, but one of them that we talk about, I have a clothing company, I have a startup, and I also have the nonprofit foundation for mental health and suicide prevention. So we're going to be talking mostly about mental health and stuff like that with you. It really all started off from my clothing line, which is Fuke Clothing. The best way to start this off is tell you and your audience kind of what the brand is about. So everyone already knows to live life to the fullest. Who the hell doesn't? But
Right?
it's impossible. It's impossible though. It's actually human nature to take life for granted. That's why we complain on Mondays. Traffic, weather, things like that. What you really need are reminders. Some of the best reminders are kind of the bad ones. Someone getting cancer, someone passing away. My grandmother actually just passed away. Those are reminders to appreciate life more. Now, thank you. And the problem is they're temporary. I'm pretty sure I'm going to complain about Monday again. I'm pretty sure when I get into traffic, I'm going to be like, what the fuck? So it's always going to happen, right? So why not get more reminders? What our brand does, we're hoping every time you see it, every time you wear it, it tells you like, stop complaining, live life a little bit more. And that's why we started kind of talking about inspiration and motivation. And every time you talk anything about inspiration or motivation, it always goes to mental health, man. Almost all the time, right? We took
Right.
it a step further and went to suicide prevention because I actually lost my brother to suicide. And one of the biggest things that I learned from that was that people don't get sad or depressed because of their situation. It's their perspective. That's why rock stars are committing suicide while homeless people are struggling to stay alive. The only thing that's messed up about that is their perspective because people don't have a shitty life, they have a shitty perspective on their life, right?
Right.
So so how do we change people's perspectives with the brand? Well, it's pronounced Phuket, but I'm pretty sure when you look at it, it makes you want to say fuck it more,
Yeah.
right? So the question is, why do I want that? Well, everyone's exposed to motivational, inspirational content every day. How many Facebook videos do you see? How many Instagram quotes? You even see just do it commercials, right? All day, every day. Everyone sees this. And I've been told that even though they see this, we have more reach for mental health help, and suicide is still going up. Mental health issues are still going up. So what's the deal there? Why? Why? If there's more inspiration that we see every freaking day, because they're all meaningless. All of them. Not one of them are good until you actually make a decision about something. Until you make a decision, not a thing happens. But once you do, everything follows automatically. This is what I mean about automatically. You see, people think you have to figure out the solutions first, make a decision, and then make a decision. That's not how it works. You make a decision, and then the solutions, that's the only way solutions will come to you. It's kind of like, people will tell you like, Brandy, man, there's just really no time or money. Every time, everyone says this. There's no time or money. Maybe not everyone, but there's no time or money, right? But what happens when your brother, sister, best friend gets married? All of a sudden, time and money shows the fuck up. Now, how did
Right.
that happen? How did that happen? All of a
Yep.
sudden, there's time and money, huh? Really? What happened was you changed your perspective on the moment. You said, well, this is going to be like the only time, at least this should be the only time they're getting married, right? That's what you're thinking. So you're like, that's my boy, or that's my brother, that's my sister. I should really go. So you say, you know what? I'm going to go. So you take off of work. There's your time. The money part, well, it's next year. You tell yourself, if I save $20 a week, I should be able to go. I'm going to go. That same exact process is how you get to freaking that vacation you keep talking about. It's the same way you have a startup. It's the same way you started your podcast. Until you decide, not a fucking thing happens. But once you do, everything follows automatically. I'm pretty sure you didn't find out about StreamYard and then you started a podcast. You went, what the hell else can I do? Like, oh, damn, I can go live video? I'm going to do StreamYard. I'm going to sign up. And that's how you're doing this now. So that's kind of like where everything kind of stems from.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm gonna be the first to say he's dead on. He's serious because I applied it to myself as soon as we were done. I just even
Yeah.
like when I had the little fallbacks. I thought going back to that. I said perception, Brian. Think about this. Think
Yeah, yeah.
because I can
You
easily
know,
just trick myself into being like, oh, and just like everything's
I,
just ruined.
I was so happy with our conversation. I actually mentioned you. I forget whose podcast it was, but I actually mentioned you, and I said like, yeah, I just had a conversation with this lady. She saw you saw depression in a completely different way before you talked to me, and I love that you said like you're just like, oh my god, I don't think I'm gonna ever need drugs for this again. Like I get it now. Like, and you still today you're like, yeah, it helps me because now I know the cause. Like, it's my perspective, and then you got to shift it, and to shift it, it takes effort. It doesn't just you don't just get better like,
Right.
out of nowhere. And
Mm-hmm.
what I love is because now, Brandy, you know that you're accountable for it.
Yeah.
You have the accountability, and you're like, do you want to be sad or happy? I get people get sad and depressed, right? But it's because they're being told because you have depression, Brandy. And now
Yeah.
you're just going there.
No
Well,
accountability.
there's nothing I could do about it. Remember that thing I told you? There's a
Yeah.
difference between struggling and suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering means you're in jail. You can't do shit about it. Nothing. Struggling is, I have an end goal. It's kind of like running a marathon. Even when you're in shape, marathons they suck. They gotta suck. You're looking at that finish line though. They're struggling. They're freaking hurting. Same thing with when you have a startup, right? You're struggling, but you have a goal in mind. So when you're suffering is because people are telling you there's not a freaking thing you can do about it. So they say you have depression. Well, what's the cure to it? Pills, right? So you get stuck doing that. Instead, people are not telling you the right things. It's like, so to me, I'm like, when I solve any problems, whether it's my businesses, personal life, I always look for the cause. I don't just look at the results. Depression, anxiety, all that stuff, those are just the results. They're actually emotional responses. That means they're responding to the cause. How the hell can it be a response if it's not right? And what's
Right.
funny is those are just two emotions that we're talking about. It's depression and anxiety. That is like what you hear all day, every day. You don't hear anyone saying like, man, my envy today is up because I'm jealous of that dude. You know
Yes.
what, Brandy? Man, my fear is so high that it's making me afraid. Does that sound right?
Not at all.
But that's how
Those
we,
are like the two trendy ones, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. Well, not only that, it's like I'm saying the exact same thing. It's the same exact process, right? You have depression. Oh, it's making my depression is making me depressed.
Right.
Oh, my anxiety is making me anxious. See, those sound so normal for everyone. But when
Hmm.
I say, like, man, my happiness today is crazy high, that's why I'm happy.
Yeah.
What? What'd you say? Your happiness? Where'd you get that? Oh, well, I don't know. I have it. Oh, you don't have that? Same. That's the way they treat depression. Oh, I've got depression. Oh, that sucks. So now what? Nothing. You just sit there. So that's why you suffer. And so what the problem is, doctors are telling you that the result is now the cause. That's what's messing everyone up
Yeah.
because now they think that the result is the cause. And in
Yeah.
fact, they even go more and more, right? So when I talk to people about this, let's say they don't believe anything I just said. And they're like, yeah, but Brandy, it's chemical imbalance, right? That's a good one. It's like, hey, that's a good one. That was a nice little uppercut. Okay, I got you. But let me ask you this: when you talk about chemical imbalance, because you're saying you have it, how do
Yep.
you know that? Did you get checked? Someone measure your chemicals, or are you just saying that shit? Like, are you just saying that as an excuse because you heard that that's what it is, but you
Right.
haven't even checked yourself? So if it's chemical imbalance, who told you this? Because there's people that got out of depression and got out of anxiety. What did they do? Their chemical changed? Now,
They're
if it
thinking.
did, how? How did it change? You're not gonna ask the question. Oh, so we want to focus on the ones that are still depressed. We're not gonna talk about the happy ones that were depressed because we don't want to know how they did it. It's kind
Right.
of a weird method. It's kind of a weird
Yeah.
method.
Yeah.
So
Kind
now,
of. Yeah. Totally makes
yeah,
sense.
and even more than that, chemical imbalance is also just the result. It's based on your stress response. It's the fight or flight. See, our brains, there's this part in our brain called the amygdala. It doesn't know the difference between a lion and I can't pay bills or I spilled something on my carpet. It has no clue. It
Yeah.
bugs out and just goes, oh my God. And because your brain doesn't know. And then it releases all these bad chemicals. That's how you get the chemical imbalance. See, chemical imbalance, everyone's under the assumption that it's the cause, it's the result. And they'll go at you and say, like, yeah, but Brandy, studies show everyone with depression has chemical imbalance. It's like, yeah, no shit. Studies show, well, let me tell you this, studies show people that are obese exercise less. Does that mean like, hey, by the way, studies show people with diabetes have weird sugar levels. Well, yeah, all of them do. Like, what? What?
Like it
What?
doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
whatsoever. But that's how people are being taught. So
Hmm.
this is how we started talk. This is how we started the nonprofit. When I explained the brand, just like I did to you, I get random messages because we'll get into deeper talks like we did. All of a sudden, I get these messages. Hey, it was so good to meet you because I was actually depressed. You changed my mind, blah blah blah. But the best ones, the ones that wrote to me and said, I was suicidal when I met you. You saved my life. Thank you. And I was just like, I'm just doing my thing. I wasn't trying to save lives that day, but I'm like, I was just telling him what I learned, kind of like when we were talking.
Yeah.
I wasn't going like, man, Brandy's suicidal. I better tell her. Like, no, I was just telling you what I learned, just telling you what I know. But when I take that switch, all of a sudden, because people don't notice, everything starts off with a bad perspective. It
Hmm.
evolves to suicidal tendencies.
Yeah.
Everything in between is Monday sucks, my relationship sucks. And all of a sudden, you're an alcoholic. Now you're abusing drugs, suicidal. All those is just slow route to suicide.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the same cause. You forgot to, you didn't get to forgive your dad. You're still holding on to that traumatic abuse that you had in the
Right.
past. You're holding on no matter what. That's what's, that's the cause. It's not depression. And now I'm going to think about the trauma.
Hmm.
I have depression, so now I'm not going to forgive my dad. Like, wait,
Right.
like,
Yeah, they
wait,
don't give
what?
you.
like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
like,
I
wait,
totally
what?
get it. I totally get that. That's what I saw when they gave me two separate ones. There was the psychiatrist, right? And
Yeah,
then there was the therapist. So I had two. But the reason why I would go was because I'd have to see him to get, because he does, they do the prescriptions. They can't, the other one can't do the
that's
prescriptions.
right.
So they were like, I guess that's their way of being able to, is okay, well, she gets these, then she's going to have to do therapy. So I went back and then I took it for a while, and then I didn't want to take that one anymore. It was lorazepam. I said, this is highly addictive. It makes me sleepy, but it does help me sleep, but
Hmm.
apparently something else. So they gave me a different therapist. Let's go
Yeah,
back. And she wanted to give me something. I told her I didn't want to do the lorazepam. She said, keep it just in case you need to sleep at night. But they gave me something that was what's the ones that are controlled substances? They gave me something that wasn't a controlled substance. And
okay,
so I was better with, I felt, okay, I'm fine with that. But then when I
yeah.
took it, she told me, because I forgot to drop one on you the other day when I told you that. I said, I totally forgot to tell them about my OCD. I don't know if that's about. But the crazy part is we were working on that at the end. They gave me a different therapist, and it
Yeah,
still wasn't making sense because we're not addressing my depression or my anxiety. But
yeah, yeah,
okay, you probably know you can't. There's it's in here, but let's send her over there
yeah,
for that OCD. I go,
yeah.
so I go
Well,
on the OCD, and then I come back. She said, "Well, did it work?" She gives me the medicine. So are
yeah.
you doing it less? I said, to be honest with you, no, not at all. She's like, well, let's up the dose a little bit. And she did. And then she did it again. I said, no, no. I said, I don't want you to up the dose. I said, I'm fine. I said, I have to work. I said,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing was,
Right.
yeah, right. Because I
I
felt
need to,
like I don't think it
yeah,
was
I
the
need to
medication.
function.
I don't think it was the medicine that was going to stop me from those, the compulsiveness. So I was like, I don't think I need
Hmm.
any more. But to be honest with you, it did settle me. Like I felt like it sure is a beautiful day.
Well,
And I wasn't worrying about
yeah,
nothing, but it wasn't taking care of the reason why I was having these problems. I
right.
knew that. They just
But
wanted
that's
to
the,
give me some
and the
butt.
thing is, but the thing is, those things, a lot of the times, at least with depression and anxiety and stuff like that, those are just remedying the result,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
It's the same thing as freaking alcohol, except that's more of a good time, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
relax. That's why they love it because I'm so much better. I don't think about my problems.
Yeah.
Well,
But they're
then
still there.
all of a sudden, it goes away. Like, you know what? My problems are coming back. Let me just, because
Yep.
my problems are back.
That's how it
Well, I
works
don't
for
want to
me.
feel my problems, and
Yeah.
so that happens again and again. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, people blame, oh, they're addictive. Oh, okay, well then explain to me gambling. Where do you put that in? Did you eat a box of cards and then you get gambling addiction? Is that how that works? How about sex addiction? Because one insertion, all of a sudden you're addicted? What? Like, what happened?
Right.
So if you can't explain that, you need a new argument. You need a new argument because it's not the drugs, it's not the alcohol.
Right.
I drink alcohol. Why am I fine? Why am I fine? I'm about to go drink tonight. Drink some bourbon with my cousin. Why can I do that, but you can't? Because you're depressed and it's addictive. You don't think maybe right here? No, nothing like that. Okay, up to you. Your call.
You think
So
that could
no,
help with alcoholism and stuff too? That just that perception thing?
oh, all day. Look at what I'm telling you right now. So when if I blame this is alcohol. Guess what they do? Brandy, I am now 367 days sober.
Right. Right.
Then tomorrow you're like 368. You're like, all right, I'm like 390 now. I'm about 390 or like 420 now. Like they're looking at every single thing that they're
Yeah.
losing. Did you get rid of the cause? You still have issues. I don't know what it is. I'd have to ask you a lot of questions. Usually
Yeah.
it's something from the past. I always refer to like forgiving someone. A lot of times the most difficult ones is forgiving yourself. You
Hmm.
blame you for letting your dad touch you that way or staying within this relationship that long or whatever. Those are the hardest ones because it's hard to get mad at yourself, you know? But what you do is you just Actually, no, it's easy to get mad at yourself. Sorry. It's hard to forgive yourself. And so it becomes very difficult. And a lot of time people don't understand, like when you get sad or depressed, it's not actually your past. It's not what you can see in your past. It's what you can't see
Mm-hmm.
in your future.
Future, yeah. I remember you said that.
So here's an example. You have a breakup. You're sad as hell. I've gone through it. I get it. It sucks. The problem is because you only saw one person in your life and all you saw was this future that I was going to be with him and her, whatever. And we are going to have this and kids and this and that. All of a sudden, no, it's not. That's not what's happening. And you're like, no, but it has to because that's what I thought of. Yeah, but it's not. No, it has to be. Like, it has to be. But it's not. Like, so you're getting more and more depressed only because you can't see a different version of your future. But once you do, all of a sudden you let go, right? That dude doesn't matter anymore. You're like, I'm good now. I'm good. But it takes changing your perspectives. So this is the route. And this is the part we didn't really discuss when we talked. This is where you start, right? So people are going to ask, well, then how do I change my perspective? How do I fix myself? You have to go to the starting point. People that say things like that, they're depressed, they don't know what to do. Typically, they say, I feel lost, right? That's how we feel. We feel lost because you don't know what the hell to do. You feel like, because everyone knows what they need to do, right? Alcoholics know to go, I don't want anymore. Right. Drug abusers know to stop. They know. You're telling me they don't freaking know, really?
Or go to meetings, they say, and work the program.
Yeah. So when people feel lost, this is my first question. Well, where are you going? Where are you going? Because right now, you're telling me when you drive your car, you would go in the middle of the highway and go, I'm lost, park.
Right.
Because that's what you're telling me. Because if you're lost in a car, what do you do? What do you do, Brandy? When you get lost, what do you do?
Stop and pull over. But
then what?
Then get out and figure out the direction of where I'm trying to go.
First, that's the first thing, right? Well, yep. That's how you start. You pause. You look at your freaking situation. You go, okay, where do I want to be? Where am I trying to go? What kind of future version of Brandy am I trying to be? Because how are you going to know how to be that person if you don't even know what kind of person you're trying to be? You have no clue. So you really have to figure that out. But more than that, you have to figure out why you're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the why, you won't know. So that's where we're going to start. I needed to tell you guys that because it all starts with purpose. It's kind of like having a business. You have to look at yourself like you're a startup. When you have a startup or a business without a mission, it's difficult to keep going. Same thing with personal life. So you have to figure out why, right? People go like, I don't know my purpose in life. That's why they feel like shit, because they're just like, I don't know why I'm here. I have no clue. Well, did you take the time to figure it out? No? Well, then that's why. That's like coming up with a business and going like, I don't know what this business is. Well, have you thought about it? Have you sat down, literally thought about it? Or are you just going, I don't know what this business is going to be? Oh no. I know, no one does. Like, no one does because no one took the time. So what you do is you sit the hell back and you go, okay, what is my purpose? The problem is a lot of people are not being taught how to make a purpose. So now let me help you. There are two major things that makes it a purpose. Number one, a purpose always benefits and provides value to other people, not yourself. Number two, it is always a verb. It is never a noun. You can't say, I want to have the best podcast in mental health. It's a noun. You want to be the best podcast, right? Is it helping anyone? Well, you have to talk about that. You just want to. I want to be the richest person. I want to be able. I want to be a millionaire. That's a noun. That's why it doesn't work. It's a goal, but that's just a noun. That's not a purpose. Who does it benefit when you're a millionaire? When you tell me that, nothing. So what you have to figure out, it's kind of like Facebook. So it's very similar when you think of it this way, like a mission statement for businesses. Facebook is not, their mission is not to be the best social network, or they would have been dead a long time ago.
Right.
Because then why the hell are you buying WhatsApp? Why are you getting the Oculus Rift for freaking 3D? Why are you doing all that?
Yeah.
Why did you buy Instagram? What was that for? What was that about? So their mission is to connect people around the world. You see that?
Yeah.
When you have a purpose, it's two verb. Brandy has this podcast to help people have some kind of inspiration to live a better life. That's her purpose with this podcast. That's where you start. You always figure out, what the hell can you do for people? What can you do? Anything. Do you think you can help people deliver their products? Well, now you're DoorDash. You think you can drive some people over? You become Uber. You want a lawn? Can you help your neighbor with their lawn? You become a landscaping business. Because what the purpose does, it doesn't care about pain or pleasure. It just cares about the purpose. Can I help people? Can I help more old people so that they can, people that are struggling mowing their lawns and this and that? Does it stop at mowing lawns, you think? When your purpose is to help the old elderly to be able to function in this, it doesn't stop at lawn mowing. There's also shoveling the snow. There's also getting the groceries. So now, do you see what happens with purpose?
Yeah.
It keeps on going. This is forever. When are there ever going to be no old people?
Right.
It's forever. When are you ever
getting that purpose to help people? Exercises that so that you just want to help, like, regardless.
And one of the best things that makes us happy is giving. Purpose. That's why it has to benefit someone else. It has to benefit someone else. And what that does, you don't focus on you. You don't compare yourself to this. You don't go like, man, my podcast only has this many listeners.
Right.
Who gives a shit? Who did you touch today? Did you save a life today? I don't know who's watching. They might have had a really bad day today. It takes one person, dude. All of a sudden they're watching like, yo, thanks, Brandy. You're going to get these calls, messages. Brandy, that was a great episode. Like, I needed that. Did that matter? How many followers, listeners?
No.
Nope. Because you served your purpose. You helped someone, right? So now you don't compare yourself. You don't even look. You're now, you're like stoked to get on freaking the live so you can help more people. Like, oh man, how else can I help someone? Like, shit. Like, let me get some more gas. You know what? Let me bring this dude back. Like,
right,
so
right.
So that's what purpose does. So now let's go to the next step. Once you have your purpose, that is how you're going to know. Your perspectives are either going to be a threat or a benefit. People always say, like, you got to think positive. No, this is why that doesn't work. I can have one perspective and think positive or negative about it. But if it's the wrong freaking perspective, it doesn't matter how positive I want to think about it. For example, let's say my perspective is the only way I could really feel good is when daddy is proud of me. When I can make my dad proud, that's when I'll be somebody. Let's think positive about that. Well, didn't happen today, but when I get this job, I will. So let me get this job. But your perspective is, this is the only dude that's going to make me feel good about my life. The only one. This is just one dude. That's your perspective. So do you think thinking positive is going to help you? You can think positive as hell. Like, well, there's always another chance. I'll make him proud of me tomorrow.
Right. That's not going to last. I don't think you're even feeling positive at that point. It's taking you down. You're like...
Right. So now let me tell you the power of perspective. So why am I telling you about perspective? So I got to tell you about my snowboarding story. I was up in the mountains, right? So I go into the glades, the trees, basically the woods, and the trees are like 10 feet apart. So you can get really fucked up in there. So you go down. So I go down and I'm like, 1, 2, 3, tree.
Oop.
That sucked. Right? Yeah. So I get up and I'm like, man, I'll try this again. 1, 2, 3, tree. Son of a, that was close call again. And I'm getting tired getting up. One more time, right? And then my friend finally stops. He's like, yo, you all right? He sprays me with snow and I'm just like, thanks, you could have gone without that. But then he freaking asked me like, yo, you all right? And I said, yeah, dude, my friends are cruising through this woods like it's nothing. So I said, how do you do that? Like, because all I'm thinking is like, dude, he's been snowboarding for 15 years. So I want to get some good tips. So he goes, and I'm like, I'm ready. He goes, dude, stop looking at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. It's my friend, Joe Lewis. And I'm just like, right. You're telling me if I do that, you're telling me I'm going to all of a sudden be awesome. And he leaves. What have I got to lose, Brandy? There's no way out. No one's going to carry me out. I got to snowboard out of here. So I gave it a try. Don't look at the trees. Look at the path between the trees. And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I stopped on purpose. And I went, what the fuck was that? The trees didn't move, man. The weather didn't change. I didn't get better because of an advice. What the hell changed? The only thing I changed was my perspective. And what's funny, as I told more people about this story, the more I said, this is why you actually have to look at life. Remember we were talking about the alcoholics and people that are blaming this. This has become their tree. When you focus on the path, they disappear. You don't even think about the trees because you're so focused on your path that you don't think about the drugs. You give up the drugs because like, yeah, but I can't be, I got a podcast tomorrow. I can't, man. Like I got shit to do. I got things to do. And so your path becomes so freaking, you just get focused. And then you don't look at the trees. Same thing with relationships. Stop trying to avoid the type of dude that you don't want. I don't want this guy, or this guy. Bam! Now you're stuck with another dude like that.
Right? How does that happen?
Right? Sound familiar, everyone? Right? You have friends like this. You're like, I don't want this, that. Bam! And you're still with them. Okay. Right. But if you look at the path and you just go like, yeah, they just disappear. You're like, no, partner. Like, no, I know what I want. I know what I want. And they disappear. You don't even get their numbers, nothing, because like, no, I know this. like you just kind of keep on going and they disappear. So that's why perspective is so important. So you have that perspective. And then because once you have your perspective, the decision follow like this. You will never make a decision this way if your perspective is this way, ever. The reason you make that decision is because of inspiration all of a sudden shifts. So this is the difference, Brandy. Inspiration comes before your perspective shift, right? That's what it does. All of a sudden you feel like, well, if that guy started podcasting with 0 and now he's killing it, only doing the same thing I'm doing.
Now you're inspired.
You get inspired because you feel like your perspective changes. Like, well, I think I can do it too. Okay, now your decisions follow, right? People, you have to know that the perspective is always shifting. It is never like, okay, I'm happy forever. No, it's going to go like, I'm happy. And all of a sudden like, yeah, but I don't know. This is normal. This is normal. It's not weird to go, my life sucks. It's not weird. Like,
but after what you do afterwards, right?
If no one ever said that, that's weird. Because the only way for you to grow is to go to things that you're scared the shit out of. If you cannot fail, you cannot learn. Remember that.
Yeah.
You gotta
We,
fuck up.
we're scared to fail. It's like we didn't even try. So how we already
And it's
failed. So
because
let's
your
try.
perspective on failure is wrong. You think failure, success. Nope. Failure, failure, success, failure, success, failure, failure. You don't think Facebook could go out of business?
Right.
Does no one remember America Online, like AOL? No, no. They were gonna rule the world. I thought that didn't quite happen. Why? They were huge. They were the only way for you to get online. What happened? They fell asleep, right?
Yeah.
So because they didn't have a purpose, they fucked up. They didn't know what they were. They were just kind of going, oh, they're using us for internet. Good, done.
Right.
So that's very important. Now, when the decision happens, that is when you need motivation. Motivation only comes after you've already made a decision. That's where passion comes from. That's where goals come from. You can't fucking make a goal to do something you don't want to do.
Yeah. Make it make sense.
So that's why, did you ever get pissed off when you're really having a bad day? Someone motivated you? They became annoying as hell? Like, yo, but Brandy, stop thinking about that. Come on, let's go out. And you're like, yeah, but Dad, don't worry about that. Like, no, you're
Yeah.
annoying. You know what? I can't right now. I can't right now. I can't right now. And that's what happens because you motivated too early. You motivate afterwards. When I say like, let's go out, and you go, but Brandy, it's been this. It's not that I'm telling you to just meet someone. I'm just telling you, let's have a good time because it's good for your health. You're like, all right, that changed my perspective. All right, let's go out. And then
Right.
I go, once you're out and you're all about it, like, all right, so let's wear this dress and this, and we're going, oh
Yeah.
yeah, we're
I
gonna,
seen it.
oh,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
motivation.
You're like, I'm happy I came. Like, yeah. Like, yeah.
That's right. All of us had it. Motivation. Like, yeah, why don't we, yo, why don't you go up to that dude? Why don't you, let's have some shots, blah, blah, blah. And that's what happens. And this is constantly a cycle. So remember that purpose, perspective, and then you make the decision. So it's actually the 3 P's, I call it, right? Purpose, perspective, and the power of decision.
Okay.
And when you have that, and always the most important thing, I know we're kind of running out of time. I have another podcast, but you really just want to see a future version of yourself. If you can't see that, it's going to be very difficult for you to do that. So always relate it to driving. When you're driving to a great destination, the journey always sucks. Always sucks. There's probably a freaking place near you that's a monumental thing where everyone in the world travels to, but you don't go there every day. Why? Because it's there.
Yeah.
Or you'll freaking drive your ass to the beach, right? Or well, actually, you're near the beach. But I bet you don't go every day.
No.
Guess what people in Ohio will tell you?
They're
Damn,
going to the
Brandy, you're
beach.
crazy.
I'll be at the
Like,
beach all the time.
you're at the beach? I'd be walking there every day. No, you
Get that a
won't.
lot.
No, you won't.
'Cause, yeah. Get that all
No,
the
you
time
won't.
right here.
You know how many Hawaiians are on the beach? Not that many. They don't go there tanning. It's there every day. But here we're going like, oh my God, paradise. But we're all the Hawaiians. Like,
Right.
why are we the only ones on the beach? Like, what's going on? And so those are the big things that you really want to think about. So I hope our discussion, like, it's
Yeah.
not, we're getting kind of cut short, but
There's always another
I,
time.
yeah, I'm more than happy to come back,
Yeah.
talk a little bit more, and rediscuss what we've done, and hopefully maybe someone learned something,
Yeah.
and
Maybe a Q&A or something. Have somebody on that,
that
you
would
know what I mean?
actually be awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
let
love
me
that.
know.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Because I mean, I'm in a whole different. I apply it to everything now. I'm just like
That's
perspective.
great. That's great. I love it.
It's my new boo now. Perspective.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
helps, right? It's the
it
cause, and
does.
so right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Teach
That's
it to my
awesome.
son.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna write you after this. I'm gonna give you one of our wristbands for our
Oh,
brand.
thank
It's a
you.
great reminder. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I appreciate
yeah,
that. Thank
and
you so much.
we'll do another session next time. Session, I
Yes,
called it.
yes.
But yeah. So I've got to go to another podcast. So I know we got
Okay.
kind of late a little bit. So
It's all good. I'm just so happy we still they got to hear that you're still connected. Do you think you can just drop where people can find you at your
yeah,
website
yeah.
and everything?
You go to Fukitt.com. So Fukitt.com. You can check out our nonprofit foundation. It's called startday1.org. And yeah, all my social media handles are all there. So,
Sounds good. Well,
right.
thank you so much, guys. This is
Yeah.
Ricardo Zulueta. Did I say it right? Zulueta.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
You have a
I'll talk to
great
you again
day.
soon, Brandy.
Yes.
Thank you
Bye, hon.
so much.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. That was it. I'm out of here because I'm going to delete this part because I look a hot mess. But do I? Yes, I do. I'll edit this part out. I don't want to look at myself.